Yeah, I just wanted to have an idea of, is there a way that I will see how many people are on currently, or how many people are watching, and from there I gauge and I can say, all right, it's time for me to go.
Okay. All right, we're live now, John. Welcome. Unfortunately, Neil
Okay.
Denham is not going to be here due to an ongoing health issue, not COVID-19. He's not able to hold meeting today with planned with Nothing Media. He will be back on the first Tuesday in March. But we have a very special guest. We have John Mohammed. John Mohammed talks about non-duality. No one is sleeping, so no one needs to be awakened. There's simply the dream of separation by no one. And the idea that there is someone that needs to be awakened is the dream, apparently. Go ahead, John. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Emerson. Um, just, Thank you very much, Emerson, for that introduction. So, simply, we can start off by saying that this speaking today, this speaking right now, and the words that's appearing out of this speaking, um, they're all empty. The words are totally and utterly empty. All right. So, as the words appear, what may what it may engender, what it may point to, is absolutely nothing. And as the speaking appears, as the speaking goes forth, it's not necessarily the words. It's not about what is being said or what is not being said. It's what's apparently being pointed at. And what is being pointed at? What's pointed at is as I already mentioned, is absolutely nothing. What's happening here is both appearing and happening, and it's also a non-happening. And the reason why I say that is because what is already what is this speaking, this sitting in front of a computer, listening to an apparent other person, is already whole and complete. There's nothing that can be added to what already is. It's already wholeness. So basically, the pointing that's apparently happening here is for no apparent reason. Because this is whole and complete already. Because nothing is missing here. Nothing is missing. And nothing has ever been lost. There's nothing to get. There's no one that gets anything from this message, or no one that can get anything from this message. It's not gettable. And no one understands this, no one knows this. And the appearance here of a speaker, what's being said, doesn't come from a place of knowing, it doesn't come from a place of understanding, it is simply arising for no apparent reason. It has no destination, it's going nowhere, it doesn't start somewhere or doesn't end anywhere. The meeting seems it has a start time and it will apparently end. But this is just what's happening. There's no progression from one stage, or there's not a progression. It's simply this. It's simply this. And what seems to happen is that in the dream of seeking, the dream of separation, the seeker always seeks, or always has the sense of something being missing. The seeker has got the sense of smallness, and that what is already is that it's not enough. That it's not enough. So what this engenders is this energy of seeking, this energy of wanting more, this energy of need. So it believes that it's an individual. It believes that it's separate. Not even it doesn't even believe it's separate. It is just separation is just the nature of the seeker. It's just the nature of the me. this sense of separation, this sense of uneasiness of what is already. So this uneasiness is kind of the what you can call the driving force, or the fuel that propels the seeking forward. And it's always for knowing. It's always wanting to know more than than what it does. And it thinks and it believes by acquiring more knowledge, it can eventually find what it's looking for. But as I said, there's nothing to be found because nothing was ever lost. This is whole and complete already. But you see, it's whole and complete for no one. It's whole and complete for absolutely no one. It's not, as I previously mentioned, it is not gettable. It's not knowable. It is not attainable. And the message that's being spoken is totally empty. So questions at this time in the link, sorry, in the in the in the in the in the box. You can join this meeting. You can join and you can come onto the screen by clicking the link, or you can post a question in the box itself. Hi, Walter. Are you there, Walter? All right, doesn't seem. All right, seems like Walter is. All right, so Walter's not there. I'll continue. So in this, the seeking energy always feels there's something missing, there's something lost, and it gives the seeker motivation. It's almost like a motivation that something needs to be different, something there's something other than this, because of the nature of separation, and because the seeker believes itself to be real and that it is solid, that it's almost like a center, and there's a solidity about it that automatically gives rise to a sense of another, that there's something else, there's something outside of me that I can get, that because I'm a someone, I can get something, or I can attain something to fill, to make me feel fulfilled, to make me feel satisfied, because I'm unsatisfied. I'm unsatisfied with the way things are. Um, I'm, I feel unfulfilled, and there's always this promise of something better. There's always this apparent promise of something better, or not, or it might not. There might not be any of that happening, but still, there is this underlying, almost so to speak, sense of lack, sense of, there must be more, and that's just the natural byproduct of seeking, of the seeker, of separation. Therefore, the individual would go after teachings, or it would merely by the fact that it believes it's real and that it has free will. It has free will, and it can choose to change the situation, to change the predicament. And therefore, it believes that through knowing, through acquired teaching, through doing various practices, perhaps, um, through having some sort of enlightenment experience or awakening experience, that that's what it is. That is what they, or what it, um, Basically, the hope it holds on to. It actually wants it wants to stop seeking. It wants to stop seeking so badly. I will put on. I see yes, Howard. I'll give Howard an opportunity if he's there to ask a question. Hi, Howard. I see some comments here. It's um, Yaisman says so. Everything is included. Absolutely. This excludes nothing. This excludes nothing. This doesn't exclude anything, and it's exclusive to no one. No one knows this. No one can own this. So it's absolutely exclusive of. It's actually absolutely exclusive. And Yasmin, I'll just read some of the comments until there's someone. I see here's a Howard. Let me just try Howard again. Okay, Howard says he's not getting any audio through. So I will just read some of the comments because I think it's helpful to see what people are saying. Um, Yasmin, what I really love about this apparent message is that there is also no agenda because the seeker is also just what is. Yeah, lovely, lovely. There's absolutely no agenda. There's absolutely no agenda because there's no one here. There's no one to get anything. And there's nobody with an agenda because there's absolutely no one. This message is simply arising. It's simply what's appearing. So it's absolutely no agenda. It's emptiness itself appearing as this message and has no agenda, and there's no one who can get this. No one who wants this really. There's no one, the me, the separate self, the individual does not want to hear this. It absolutely cannot hear this. It's impossible for the separate self or the for the for the separate self to hear this message. And there's no choosing. The separate self doesn't choose, or the individual doesn't choose to listen to this or to choose to hear it, or it's what's just appearing. There's no choosing to listen or to hear or to understand anything here. It's just this appearance. It's just simply just what is appearing. Simply just this. And the other, what seems to also be so fascinating is that this is simply ordinary. There's no there's no need to, as I said earlier, there's no need to add something onto what already is. It's simply ordinary. It's simply this ordinary happening right here. The speaking. There's nothing special or extra special about the speaking even. What's just happening is a story being told about nothing. So it's nothing really special that's apparently happening here. This is a non-happening, and it's also what's happening. So this is always so. This is always just this. Nothing needs to change for this to be anywhere else or to be any way else. Let me see how Howard is going now. Howard, are you there? Let's just give time and see if Howard is with us. Chirag Acharya. Sorry guys if I butcher the names. I'll try my best to pronounce it as best as I possibly can. English is not my first language as well, so I will try to be as clear as I can. Chirag says, I've heard that thoughts are not generated in brain. Brain just reacts to thoughts. So brain is a reactor and not creator. What are your thoughts? I don't have any thoughts, Chirag. What will appear out of my mouth right now, it doesn't come from knowing. So apparently there's a brain. Apparently and thoughts arise and what can be scientifically, I'm not a scientist, but I think what can be scientifically proven is reactions or certain electrical functions within the brain. I don't think science can actually necessarily prove a thought. So there would be reactions based on certain stimulations, and the brain will interpret that, right? And the brain would send the message to the body, and the body will respond to that. Okay, so thought is basically just what's appearing. Thought is just what's appearing. As I said, the brain would react to it, and what is the cause of, or yes, for just a matter of speaking, what is the cause of the reaction to the brain? It's simply a response to what is. What happens in the dream is that the individual would believe that the thought it belongs to it. And usually with the thoughts, there's a story. It's almost like a web. The story of me is like a web, and it's a conglomeration of thoughts and experiences, and that in itself gives the individual a sense of realness and a sense of past, that these things have happened and it has led up to this. But that is just the dream. That is just the dream. Thoughts just simply appear. It belongs to no one. No one has a thought. It's simply what is appearing and disappearing. Nobody has it. Nobody will ever have it. It's simply what's appearing and disappearing at the same time. So it comes and goes. But in the dream, it seems very real. It seems very personal, because I'm taken as personal. I'm taken as real. So it's very personal. It's my thoughts. It's my ideas. And the story that goes along with all those thoughts, it's mine. And that is the dream of separation. There's only this, you say, but I have evidence, baby photos, and old video footage of my past. Good one. Yes, that is also just simply this. The picture you're seeing, the picture that you're looking at, is simply just this wholeness. It's just what's happening. It's just what's happening. What seems to happen and what happens in the dream is that somebody owns that, right? So there's a story of an apparent, let me see who asked that, who made that statement? Leo. All right, Leo the lake. So there's a story of an apparent Leo, right? And in the story, there's these events. And of these events, and that's the story. That's absolutely got nothing to do with the individual. Where the individual arises is, or what the individual does, it owns that story. It owns it. It takes it. It makes it personal. It takes it, and there's a whole history. There's a whole story attached to that. And it's just what it is. It's just a story. It's nothing important. It's it's just what is. It's just what's happening. But in the moment of, or once that story is seen, or once the picture is seen, it does engender probably certain emotions, certain thoughts, which you call memory, which is also illusory, because there's no past. So the certain thoughts and certain emotions is generated when certain pictures are viewed. But that's also just what's happening. It has no connection with what happened or what apparently happened. That's just the story. That's just a story. And the emotions that's arising, it's wholeness. It's wholeness already. It's simply just this. Do you think this is one Tepa one? Let me just try quickly if somebody can join the video live. Well, I know Walter mentioned that he's still struggling with the audio. Let me just see if I go on. All right. All right. So next question: do you think that traditional? All right. Let me give Walter just a chance. Okay. Do you think that traditional Advaita Vedanta can lead to realization? Traditional Vedanta does have a practice element to it. Meditation upon the teaching, for example. All right. Once again, when it comes to lines of teaching, traditional teachings, I'm not the expert. I'm not an expert on specifically saying that and pointing out certain things in certain teachings. But what apparently happens out of all, whether it's Advaita Vedanta, um, the fact that it promises realization, the fact that there's a story, there's a teaching. So the teaching is usually, it usually comes from somebody who believes it's real, they're real, and then it leads to um, a teaching which speaks to another, which speaks to somebody else, and there's usually something that someone can know. There's something that someone can learn, and through the learning and engaging with the teaching or the meditation on the teaching, or whatever goes with the teaching, um, as a promise of realization or awakening. That is part of the dream of separation, because no one needs to be awakened, because there's never been anyone that's been sleeping, because, and also there's never been anyone. I am real is the dream. The experience of existence being me, or this existence being mine, that is not real. But out of that separation, out of that feeling of, and this engenders lack, it engenders something is missing, so I can find it, I can do something about it. And usually seekers would go, find a teaching, read a book, listen to teachers who promises that their seeking can come to an end. But what's not is that the very thing that causes the discontent, the uneasiness, is the individual. It is the individual that causes that. So it's almost like a it's like the me is this on this wheel, and it's just spinning its wheels constantly, and it's just hopes, and hope is a big thing. Hope is a big thing that drives the me. And what's been speaking, what's spoken here is really hopeless. It's really hopeless to the me, because it doesn't give the me, it doesn't give the individual anything, it doesn't offer the individual anything. This message has absolutely no benefit for anyone whatsoever. So there's really no such thing as self-realization. In the story of John, so let me write my main example. In the story of John, it's just a story. It's nothing important, nothing real. There seem to be awakenings or realizations, but that never seemed to be enough. That always engendered that there's more. That always gave rise to there's something more. And that apparently happens. Those realizations apparently happens. Um, and what seems to happen with a lot of teachers, even in the so-called past, is there might be an experience. There might have really been an experience where where the me drops, where the me just goes, and there's no center. But what actually seems to happen, it turns into a teaching. It turns into a teaching. And listen to what I want to say. There's no such thing as right or wrong. There's no such thing as right or wrong. That's just what's apparently happening or not. So that's apparently what seems to engender the seeking, this need to know, the need to want to know, need for something more. So practice like meditation, self-inquiry, whatever other practices are there, gives the sense to the individual that one day this is all going to come to an end. All right. All right, Walter. Walter posed a question. Even after the me or statement, even after the me falls away, the seeking for pleasure and happiness seems to go on for no one. Can you speak to this? After the me falls away, what is seen, what is recognized? It's actually very difficult to say. It's a non-happening. How do you speak about a non-happening? But what is seen and what is recognized is that the me the me was never real. It's seen through that illusion is seen through. That it's never been real. There's never been a me. It's seen basically for what it is. It's seen as a dream, and and what apparently happens in that apparent moment happens to no one. But yes, as in that apparent happening where me falls away, um, Walter says the seeking for pleasure and happiness seems to go on for no one. Yes, there's no need, as I said earlier, there's no need for anything to be different than what it is. So the conditioning that's still part of the story goes on. The story of a John goes on, right? But there's nobody who claims that story as his own. There's nobody who owns that, and nobody that makes it personal. The story still continues. Thoughts continue to arise. Should I have a cup of tea or should I have a Coke? You know, you know. Should I take a cold shower? Should I take a warm shower? These things still arise. The preference, that's part of the conditioning. It still arises, and it's still what's arising. It's still what's arising. But as I said, nobody owns that. Nobody makes it personal. Um, It's still just apparently what's happening. It's just what is. It is just what is. And it's so exquisitely ordinary. It is so exquisitely ordinary. It's so simply ordinary that it's exquisite. That is so freeing for no one. That is so freeing. That's freedom speaking. That's freedom saying. This is wholeness. This is complete. This lacks nothing. This is unconditional. There's no conditions to this. There's no position for anybody in this that anybody can own and say, this is the position that I own and this is my position. I'm not going to be moved from this position. Any other position that's counter this position, I just disagree, or I shut it off, or I choose what to listen to, or what, very, very rigid, very set. But once me drops away, it's almost just like a fluidity. Thoughts come and go, feelings, emotions come and go. It's just what's happening. There's no center that claims that, right? Romana Gay Annie. Sorry. Hi there. I really love your message and all nothing media work. Thank you with love. Thank you, Romana. Any other questions? Nobody ready to join the live? That's okay. All right. All right. Traditional Vedanta classifies this again, Tepa. Let me. Yeah. Okay. I see here's somebody that wants to join a live. I'll come back to that questions. Hi there.
Hello.
Timu.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you quite fine, Timu. Can you hear me?
Yes. I just had this
good
question that like if we compare, like you have this kind of well, I don't know what you would call it, a message. What do you call it? What you speak about? Would you say it's a message or teaching or? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit, but continue to speak.
Okay, so what you're talking about, and versus some like more traditional teachings, what is the like difference between what you talk about? Like someone who hears what is talked about, they want to understand or get the same experience that you are having. They want to like get it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing is happening in a traditional teaching. So what is the benefit? Why would they, would it be better for them to listen to what you are saying if they want to get it, or to listen to a more traditional teaching? Like, what is the benefit of why would someone, for example, listen to what you are saying and not take something like self-inquiry or something that has that kind of a different approach to this?
All right. Timu, there's nobody here that has any experience. What's just obvious? Yes, what's just obvious and clear is what is this as it is all that there is, and that all that there always have been. So nothing has to change in what is. This is wholeness. This is complete. This is simply what is already. And your question with regards to what's the benefit in anybody listening to me or listening to this message for rather, there's absolutely no benefit. There's absolutely no benefit because nobody gets this. That is the thing. Nobody gets the message. Nobody can understand it. Knowing, the idea of knowing is separation, because knowing engenders a self, a me, or an individual that can know. It can know something. This is not two-ness. This is not two, right? So this simply is wholeness, and it's empty. It's nothing and everything. So what this message says, or what's spoken about, or what the speaking says, is that no one gets this. This message. There's no one that looks. There's nobody that searches for this message. What apparently happens is when there's a hearing, or when there's someone or a parent other that listens to this message, there might be resonance. There might be a resonance deep that, hold on, it sounds, there's a connection, but it's not heard or understood by anyone. It's I said in the beginning, that these words that's been spoken here is totally empty. It's totally, it attempts to point at something that cannot be grasped, or it's not even something. What it points at cannot be grasped. It cannot be gotten. So to answer your question, there is absolutely no benefit that anybody gains out of listening to this message.
But there is the benefit of the resonance then. If there is a possibility for the resonance to happen, it would be a possibility that you that not
Is that
you would.
Is that fine, Timo?
Yeah, I guess it's fine. But what can I have a follow up to that? Can I ask a follow up question?
Timo, you're just breaking this.
Can you
Okay,
hear
continue,
me?
Timo. You can continue.
Okay,
Yes.
so you mentioned that
You said, yeah.
resonance. So what is that resonance? Because if it's not, because everything you say is a story, like the words themselves is a story. It's not the actual reality that you are pointing to. So the resonance, if it cannot be then coming from the story, from the words, where is it then coming from, that resonance?
Yes. So the resonance, what I'm saying, it's just a word. It's just a matter of speaking. The words are empty. It's just the resonance is it's a happening, like thought. Thought is a happening. Thought is what arises. Thought is wholeness arising as thought. Thought is everything arising as thought. So the resonance is just simply what's arising out of emptiness. It doesn't belong to anyone. It's not something somebody owns. It's not something that somebody, it doesn't belong to anyone. It's I guess, for lack of better word or saying, it could be a feeling within the body. It could be a feeling it could be felt in the body. But still, it's just a word. It's just, as you said, it's just a story. It's just a story being told, and it doesn't happen. It's a non-happening, and yet it's happening. It's very paradoxical. So the resonance is it's a happening. It's all that it's how I can put it. It's just a happening, and also it doesn't. So people can hear this message, and they can in their mind they can think that there must be some sort of a progression. I probably need to listen to this, or I probably need to listen to this more, or the speaking more, or whatever. There can be some sort of a progression. It appears to be, but that's illusory. What just happens? It happens for no reason, and it happens to no one.
Okay, thank you. What is interesting to me is that this resonance, because what you're talking about is simply what exists. It's not. It doesn't depend on any particular context. For example, the context of there being someone like you who is talking. So this resonance should be present at all times, even if you are alone. Suddenly could happen that there is this resonance. But what I find interesting is that it seems to happen a lot in the context where someone is talking about it, and in only some rare cases it happens that someone is just never heard about this and just like is sitting and munching on candy and or drinking coffee, and it just suddenly hits them. So there seems to be some kind of relation to hearing it, even though what is talked about is only a story, but there seems to be some correlation between those things. That was just a comment. It's not really a question. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thanks, Timu.
Thank you.
All right. Let me read this comment. Suffering can continue for no one. The me dropping away is not a solution. It's a totally worthless goal for no one to achieve. Yes, I don't have to add on anything to that. That's quite clear. I'd like to say something with regards to what Timu said now. That he said something there. Yeah. This is totally unconditional. This is unconditional. This doesn't need the speaking. This doesn't need a hearing of this to be all that it already is. It's without condition. It's without condition. So this doesn't need any extrapolation. Sometimes I say it's like we fools mumbling. It's because this is unspeakable. It's unknowable. This is totally unspeakable and unknowable. And this is just suggestions and pointings. Yeah, but the unconditionality of this is it does not impose certain requirements for this to be all that there is already. There's no impositions here. There's no impositions in this message because there's absolutely no agenda in this message. What's just seen is that there is no one. This message is not heard by anyone. So an apparent hearing of the message, it seems like so the benefit, as Timu said, is absolutely no benefit. Because why should there be a benefit? If this is whole and complete, and if this is fullness, emptiness, and it's everything and nothing, what's missing? Why should there be benefit for anyone? That's the dream. That is the dream of separation. Yasmin said there is nothing that is not it, between inverted commas. So even discussions about right or wrong are just this. Just what is apparently happening. Yeah. Right or wrong. Yeah. It's just what's happening. Discussions about that is just what's it's just what's apparently happening. There's no meaning in it. There's no purpose in it. If the individual feels so strong and personally about its views and about its ideas and its thoughts, because it feels so strong and because it believes, and because the individual believes that it has any relevance to this, it it senses or it experiences, there might be an experience that it's real and that it has some sort of relevance. Therefore, it has a strong opinion, and its opinion is right or its opinion is wrong. Um, but this does not care for any of that. What is does not care for any of that. That's the dream. Yes, what seems to happen is I might have a conversation with somebody about whatever topic, sport, whose team is the best, whose team is something like that. And I can have all the facts of why this team is the best. Well, that other person, so-called other person, can have all the facts of why that team is all the best. That can still go on, but it's seen that belongs to nobody. No one owns that. That's not personal. That still goes on. The enjoyment, just the spontaneity and enjoyment of being able to have a bit of banter with guys. Well, it goes on. It's what just, and that's the freedom. That is the liberation, right? There's absolutely nothing to be scared of, but the me is freaking scared of this message because it means it means the message it's spoken is the end of me. It doesn't give anything to me. So it's the end of the individual. And that's the last thing the individual wants. That's the last thing the individual wants. But the what it's scared of and what the individual is scared of is unknowing. That's what the individual is scared of. It's unknowing. And in the dream, um,
It looks like we're having some technical difficulties. John will be back. He'll probably log on again. So sorry about that. Just hang on for a moment. I'm just going to read some of the comments here. Um, Everything is an appearance. Upon realizing this, nothing needs to change. Things can change, but nothing needs to change. That's from Tapa. And I'm just going to pause here for a moment. Just hang on there for a moment. Hey, Ari. Yeah. John just went off. Okay. John is offline now, so I'm trying to be on screen right now. So I'll get back to you. Okay, bye. All right, so we're just waiting for John. I appreciate everyone for being here still. He'll come back soon. It's just probably a bad connection, and we're working on it. If you guys want to hear more of these, I think that's John back. Yes, John is back. Welcome back, John.
So sorry about that, guys. Oh, there you are. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm back. I'm so sorry about that. I just seem to have disappeared, appearance and disappearance. Yeah. So let's go to the next, see if there's any other questions or comments. So a leader says, sorry for my English, I just want to say that the seeking comes back, and also the sense of me. Just excuse me quickly, I just want to switch on the light. It's early evening yet. Sorry about that, you all. I just want to say that the seeking come back, and also the sense of me and suffering. I think she means suffering. Apparent anyone have also this experience? Oh, it's a question you're asking, is anybody have an experience of me coming back? Um, what I will say to that is that once this is seen, it's seen that the me never was in the first place. That the me was totally illusory. So what apparently happens? It's not, the me is not replaced with a not me, and that's seemingly what the seeker can do. You know, the seeker can hear this message, and from a place of understanding and knowing, like any speaking can be turned into a teaching, to something that I need to know, something that I need to understand. And what the seeker does apparently happens is that it hears it, and it thinks it can understand this, and it knows this, and there might even have been a glimpse, or there might have been a seeing, you know, or as I said earlier, resonance, and an openness. So what seems to happen is that contractedness, that sense of contractedness, that is the me, that energy seems to loosen, right? It seems to loosen up, and that's what's apparently happening. It's just loosening up in a more of an opening. But it could also be, it can also seem that the me, why I said the me comes back, it can also be that it could be seen as this message is pointing to a not me, or it's said that when the me ends, there's now not a not me. But that is also another dream. That is also just the individual making this another teaching, or another thing, or another teaching, or another journey, or another path, that it can figure it out. It can, through practice or through whatever, it can make it, it can lose the me again. It can lose the me again. So the me has been quote unquote lost, and it comes back. Now I'm seeking to lose it again. The me never existed. The me was never real to begin with. The me was absolutely never real to begin with. The individual was never real to begin with. That's seen and recognized by absolutely no one. That's absolutely no one. Me didn't come back, but it was realized that this body is still in the world of duality and seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Sure, sure. That's just the story continuing, right? I mentioned this earlier. It's just the story continuing. The conditioning. There's conditioning and programming, and that continues. Certain things that the body likes, and certain things the body doesn't like. Certain things the body prefers. Certain things the body do not prefer. Certain foods, certain people, certain places. Um, that's part of the story. That still continues. Wally D said, apparently. Yes, apparently.
It appears that John is frozen right now. Sorry that we're experiencing these technical difficulties, but he'll unfroze again soon. I think it's just the internet connection is not solid. Uh, Again, if you guys want to take a look at, there's a lot of videos out there still that on nothing.fm, and John will be back.
Um, I'm as close to my router as I can be. My router is directly plugged into my laptop. I am in South Africa, and on this side of the world with our service provider. Um, yeah, enough said about that. Less said about that, the better. Um, it's quite frustrating. Quite frustrating. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Ricky Willie says, I've had that experience, but I'm trying to understand why the sense of an apparent me still pervades my experiences. I've had that experience, but I'm trying to understand. Rick, this is not an experience. This is not an experience. It's a happening and a non-happening. An experience presupposes someone that can experience something, that it happens to them. So this or in the dream, there are experiences which seems to be real and which the individual can take as real, and then it wants to change it again or have another experience. But what's speaking here, the speaking is not an experience. The me dropping away, let me just say like this, the me never existed, so the me really doesn't drop away. The me does not go away. It's just seen. It's just obvious, like this hand in front of my face. I don't know if the sound came clear, but what I said, it's so obvious, like the hand in front of my face. It's just seen that the me absolutely was an illusion. That's what's seen. So it's not that the me, it's just a matter of speaking when it's said that the me drops away, that sense of, because it's what's felt by no one, what's apparent with no one, is that seeking stops. It just stops. It just ends. But it's not an experience. It's not an experience. It's not happening to anyone. It's just what's apparently happening. And out of that is a scene. And what is seen is that me was never real. The resonance, Catherine okay, Catherine, the resonance I feel it's purely unconditional. Absolutely. Absolutely. Unconditional love. You see, the me has got an understanding of unconditional love because of its conditioning. Because of the conditioning, it's got an understanding of unconditional love that unconditional love is for me, for the individual. Unconditional love is for me, and when I feel conditional love, I'm going to feel amazing. I'm going to feel so, wow. That's probably the best thing that I can feel or experience is unconditional love. And for the me, that's another. It's another thing. You see, it's another thing within the dream that the me has on its to-do list or on its attainment list or in its bucket list, that unconditional love is something, it's a thing, and it's this apparently this amazing thing because everybody's talking, or speakers or teachers are talking about it, and I can own that. I can make it my own, and the idea of that engenders this euphoria or what. But the unconditionality of this, as it is, does not reject anything, does not reject anything, does not reject sadness, does not reject loneliness, or whatever feel arises. It does not reject, it does not exclude that. It's all inclusive. It's unconditionally whole and complete. Thanks, Wally D. Wally D4. Okay, Tepa1 said, okay, by the way, anybody that's listening, or feel free to type a question, or feel free to join the live and join the screen with me. Wouldn't be nice to have somebody next to me on the screen. Anyway, so Tepa says basically the me is a story about itself. And the problem is not the story, but that the story has a story about itself. That implies that it is real. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. The story, apparent story, it doesn't matter, as there's never been someone. There's never been anyone. So it doesn't matter, and it's not real. Tepa again. Let me just read somebody else maybe first. Michael Parker Sutton. I believe people get confused by the notion that the me drops always. Okay, the me drops always. Is it enough to just say that this is all there is without reference to me or I? Yes. As I said, the notion, and you rightfully said, what seems to happen is that the seeker, or the me, can turn this into another teaching and tries to lose itself, or it tries to drop away. But when this is seen, it's just seen that there's never been an individual to begin with. That's all that is seen. It's not the dropping away. It's just seen that the individual never existed. So yes, it's enough just to say that this is all there is without reference to me or I. Absolutely. Absolutely. When once this is seen, it's just seen, and the need to, as a matter of speaking to other individuals, apparently other persons or other people, you still use I or me or or we, or that's just a matter of speaking, and that's just the story continuing. But it doesn't belong to anyone. It's not, it's not, you don't have, there's not a need to change language to try to say not me or whatever. That's just another that's just another appearance. That, and if that happens, it's just what's happening, or not. It's what's happening or not. It really doesn't matter, right? So you don't. So there's no seriousness there's no seriousness to what's apparently happening. It's just what it's seen as. It's just what's happening. It has no meaning. It has no purpose. What's happening. It's nothing matters. Let me just see. I see here's a. Let me try. I would try to connect earlier. Howard, are you there? All right. See, here's someone else. Mark. Let's try see if Mark wants to join. Hello, Mark. Are you there?
I'm here.
Seems like Mark also has some difficulty connecting. Right. Oh, sorry. Hi, Mark.
Hi. Going.
Hi, Mark.
I'm trying. Hi.
Do you have a question or comment or? Yeah, you sound. I heard you initially.
Oh,
I heard you.
can you hear me now? What about now?
Yeah, perfect.
What, you're hearing this?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh,
Can continue.
all right. Well, it wasn't really a question, though. I was trying to write a chat. It wasn't coming through. I was trying to say that in reference to what comes back is what always is. But if it comes with a story, then one is disappointed because the story can never be done better. That's didn't. What comes back is what always is. So, with thinking about that, there can be disappointment because one thinks it's to be different than that. But if it comes back clear and clean, like just peripheral vision or seeing without interpretation, just clear and clean, without a thought about it, there's really nothing to be disappointed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Mark. What's nothing really comes back because nothing was missing in the first place. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. As I'm saying that nothing can you hear me, Mark?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Quite fine. All right. So nothing comes back because nothing was ever really missing. So what's just seen is that the seeker, the one who was always looking for something to be different or something to be other than what already is just seen as illusory. It's just seen as never happens. And what seems to appear, what seems to arise, is a wonder. it's just this wonder. It's almost like this is so obvious. This is so obvious, and in this seeking, it's missed. The obviousness of it is totally missed. It has never gone away. It has never been anything other but just this, as obvious as it is. But in the seeking of it or something, to make what is already, what this obviousness already as it is, to make it different and to change it. In that, there's a missing. There's an apparent missing, but nobody's doing that. That actually does not happen. That's the dream. That's the dream. Are you good? Do you have another question or
No,
comment?
no, good.
Okay, all right.
No.
Thank you, Mark. Emerson Howard. Let's try Howard again. Howard's not there. Catherine says, yes, that's like a newborn baby. That's like a newborn baby. There are no boundaries to love. That's beautiful. I like that. If you look at babies, that's pure. It's you looking at pure beingness. That's pure. It's pure beingness. And there's once once this is seen by no one, with that is with that arises almost an innocence, a childlike. Many says it, calls it a childlike wonder. There's just a spontaneity, a more of a, because that contracted energy, that center just the bottom of it fell out. So what arises is the spontaneity, this innocence, almost like a gaiety, or it can be a silliness, so to speak, as well. And that's just in the pure beingness that allows for that. That allows for, there's no there's not like a conditioning or filter or anything that sees looks at it with any preconceived notion, looks at what is at any with any preconceived notion. It's just simply the innocence, and in saying that there is conditioning about how things are appearing, but once it's seen that nothing really is what it appears, what as it appears. There's a freedom that comes with that. There's just this freedom that nothing is as what it appears, and it allows for spontaneity. It allows for just a just this seeing, this wondering. It's I love the word. It's exquisiteness. It's just je ne sais quoi. There's a certain je ne sais quoi about what is. It's a certain je ne sais quoi about the chair, oh, the tree, the sky, the floor. It's just a not that the je ne sais quoi or that exquisiteness has never been there. It wasn't just. It was just. It wasn't. It wasn't seen. It was covered. It was covered in the illusion, or the illusion was that, and which never happened. Yeah, Michael, I thought that's what you meant. I mean, the me drops away. Any more questions? Let me just scroll and see. Rick Woolley. Yes, Rick, you are stating that clearly. I just Rick wrote a long comment, and I just wanted to confirm that I understand what he's saying, or hear what he's saying. The last part Rick mentions here is yet to not go back to sleep doesn't seem to happen for everyone. Yet to not. Yeah, nobody's sleeping. Nobody's sleeping. Like nobody's awakening. Nobody's sleeping. Um, so there is no one. There simply is no one. There simply is no individual. That's the illusion. That is the illusion pointing at right here. Simply is no individual. I was scrolling prior to that. I was just scrolling up again to see. All right. Any any other questions, or anyone wants to join? Maybe I can just share that what for me, and that's just a matter of speaking. What for me is stunning, absolutely stunning. I it's just blows me away. Is how simply ordinary this is. It just floors me every time. I just like, just like wow, you know, wow. It's just this ordinariness of what is. It just floors me, you know. Nothing needs to be different. Nothing needs to change for this just to simply be as it is. That that for me is just beautiful and floors me, and leaves me with a sense of wonder. It's just like wow, wow is the only wow is like wow becomes a it becomes almost like what arises wow, and it's an absolutely non-experience. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Catherine. Leisman says ordinary and extraordinary. Well, once again, just words. It has a sense of extraordinariness. So I get that. It's got the sense. Wow, this extraordinariness sense. But yet it's just ordinary. it's just ordinary. There's nothing extra to this. It's nothing extra. It's just this in its purity. In its pure wholeness. Absolutely nothing has to be added to it. That's why for me, I just love the love this ordinariness of it, because it's so simple. It's just so simple. Okay, Howard says I think I'm making progress. Sorry for technical issues. No problem, Howard. Oh, Tepa, one says it is very ordinary when it is talked about, it becomes extraordinary in the eyes of someone who is seeking. Yes, yes. It could sound like what I'm speaking about sounds, it could scary, or it could sound like I, sitting here, have experienced something extraordinary. It could sound like that, and the seeker can interpret that and can once again make that into, wow, that sounds extraordinary. I want that. I want to attain that. So definitely that can sound in separation. It can sound, this message can sound extraordinary. In fact, it sounds absurd. It sounds absurd. It's unbelievable. This is totally unbelievable because it requires absolutely no belief for it to be what it already is. Unbelievable. Yes, Yasmin, extraordinary in the sense of wow, like the cup of tea that is just unknown. Exactly. That's what I said. The ordinariness of this can it can be the sense of wow, this cup of tea. I've never tasted a cup of tea like wow, this is amazing. That it can have that sense of extraordinariness. Sweet. Jason made Nathaniel. Oh, when you say this, what do you mean? When I say this, what I mean? I mean this. This happening or none happening. So it's everything. It's the speaking, it's the listening, it's the heart beating, but none of that is separate. None of that is a separate. All right, now the speaking happens. Now there's something else happening called heart beating. Now there's something else happening called hearing. Now there's something else happening called breathing. Now there's something else happening called sitting. It's wholeness. It's wholeness. It's everything. It's everything appearing as this. This is all there is. This is absolutely all there is. This is wholeness. Nothing other than this appearing. This any other thought about something else? What it's a story. It's just a story. It's just a story. But this is wholeness appearing as various so-called things, it's not various things. It's simply everything. It's unspeakable. Therefore, the language that's used here seems very direct and can sound very radical, and it's definitely is very unique. Because the pointing is pointing at absolutely nothing, no thing. It's absolutely it's perplexing. It's beautifully and it's simply perplexing. Yes. So, any other question? As I mentioned this earlier, what is already the speaking is also what is already. It's not in addition. It's not added on. It's not an extra. Um, the discussions, the questions, the answers, whatever. What is. It's part of. It's not even part of it. You see, even that word, it's part of it. When that word engenders, there's a separation. But what is just wholeness. It's just this wholeness appearing as the speaking, as the typing. You're welcome, Jason. Tepa 1, this is simultaneously shapes, sounds, and so on, and boundless invisible existence. The invisible existence is what appears as the visible existence. The invisible existence is what appears as the visible existence. All right. This is, as I said a few times, this is everything is totally empty. This is emptiness. Emptiness appearing as speaking, and it's fullness at the same time. It's not both, it's not two, it's not emptiness becoming fullness. That can also be construed by the me into a teaching that it's nothing becoming everything. You see? So it's not necessary, it's not nothing becoming something or nothing becoming everything. It's nothing, everything. Both simultaneously. I think Tepa mentioned that there's some simultaneity in it, but it's not two. That's the paradox. That's the mystery. That's the unspeakability of it. You know, that it's not two. It's also not one. Very, very, very not important. Nothing's important here. But in the message that's speaking here, in the message, it's not one and it's not two. It's simply not two and it's simply not one. So shapes, sounds, appearances within boundlessness. So boundless, you use the word boundless. Boundless basically engenders that it can be anything. It can appear as anything. It can appear as whatever. You know, it can just appear as anything. That's what the word boundless engenders. It's not restricted. There's no restrictions to this or that or that or that. It can be anything. So sounds, shapes, colors. It's all inclusive of that. Yeah, Tepa, that's the that is funny. That's why I always say this is absurd. I nobody knows this. It's just it's like a comedy. It's like, I don't know. It's just it's absurd. It's ridiculous, man. It's just a beautiful ridiculousness. Just trying to use words, attempting to speak about this. It's seemingly what happens. It's seemingly what's happening. Speaking about this, although it's as ridiculous, although it's as paradoxical as it is, although it's a mystery, though it's not, it's unknowable. Speaking arises, and that is simply what it is. It's simply just this wholeness, wholeness appearing as speaking. Oh, this is so beautiful. For no one. You can't get it, please. Do not. There's no me. It's I'm. No one gets it. I don't get it. It's. It's a beautiful equalizer. It's a beautiful equalizer. There's no one that can claim this and own this and say that, wow, this is what I got and I claim this, and because I claim this, and it forms a hierarchy. and it gets passed on to others, so-called others, and that separation, that dream, um, you know, the beauty in this is that it's an it's equalizer, it's an equalizing, it's almost like equalizes, you know. It's yeah, because it's unconditional, you know. Unconditionality does not prefer or does not have certain conditions and does not have certain states, that's different or that is higher or more meaningful, or that separation that's just happens in the dream. Apparently that just happens in the dream. The me wants to feel so special, man. Wants to feel so relevant, and it feels that to have that relevance and specialness, it has to have a position. It has to, and that's where knowing comes in. If I know more, if I can know more about something, or you know, whatever that is, whether it's awakening, self-realization, enlightenment, whatever the teaching promises, what the end path or the end goal or the end game is, if I can gain that, wow, then I feel special, you know? Then I feel special. Or that's the need that's here in separation, that need to feel special, that need to belong, that need to be relevant. And that creates all types of, in the dream, scenarios where there's apparently one with knowledge more than another one with knowledge, and it creates this whole, and that's the whole aspect of mysticism. This is not mysticism. This is not mystical. It's a mystery. It's not mystical. It's not mystical. It also speaks about experience, you know, mystical experiences. So whoever have notched up on their belt more mystical experiences, or the ultimate mystical experience, which is enlightenment, you know, is the one to be listened to, or the one to follow. And that's just a dream. That is a dream. That is the dream. This is unconditional. No conditions, no requirements. It's equalizing. It's an equalizer, so to speak. You know, not that anything needs to be equalized. There's no need for anything to be equalized, but in a matter of speaking, this is like, you know, appears to be, in a sense, it's a sense that this is, wow, it's just equalizing. It's so freeing, you know. It's so it you know, I don't have to be like, oh, you know, there's no needs for this constant striving to be something or be someone or else, or you know, that's just that is just recognized and seen as a dream, that it's never happened. All right, let's see. And that is funny. Yeah, Michael Parker Sutton, could you say that all occurrences are experienced by the I, between inverted commas, in the past? Therefore, how could the I, inverted commas, be real, since it is always what has been? Michael, there is simply this happening or not happening. There is no past. There is no past. Memory is also illusory. It's simply what's around. So say a thought arises of an event, right? It points to a past. It is taken as something that has happened, right? But that immediately is illusory. That immediately is the dream. Nothing ever happened. It's just what's happening. The thought of an apparent something happening in the past is just what's happening. It's just what's happening. what the me does, or what the individual does, it owns it, and there's a whole story that it spins around that it happened to me, it belongs to me, right? So the whole aspect of past is totally illusory. Now, what I want to say is that there apparently seems to be a progression from like, there's going to be an apparent end to this meeting, and then there's going to be something else or whatever. But that's just a story. Nobody's doing it. There's no doing. There is no doing. And the individual believes that it's the doing factor in the dream. So by it doing something, it owns that. But doing, action, simply arises. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody is doing anything. Doing just simply arises. This speaking is a non-doing. Nobody's doing it. Even nobody's asking questions. Nobody's typing. Nobody's doing anything, because there is nobody. Yasmin, language is always dualistic. It appears that way. It appears that way. That's why I said, like, the words that's spoken here doesn't. It's empty. It's empty. There's no meaning in them. It's merely a pointing. I'm going to try to make an analogy. Normally with this speaking, analogies falls flat, because it's like driving down the road and seeing a sign that says go left. Nobody goes to the sign. You see the sign, but once you drive past, you forgot about the sign. You don't take the sign with you. You don't accumulate signs. You don't do it. It's just seen as absurd. And there's similar with words. It's just signs. It's just pointings, and nothing serious in it. There's nothing serious about this. There's no meaning. There's no purpose. There's no point. It seems to be pointing at something, or not at something. It just seems to be pointing at this, what is already. But yeah, it's a hopeless endeavor, so to speak. But yet it happens. Yet it just happens. Yet it's just what's happening. Yes, Esmond. Pointers. Yeah. Simply pointers or suggestions. It's just making a few suggestions. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys want to ask me any question on the screen, click on the link. I think there should be a link provided. Norman Moore. Oh, now I get it. No, you don't. No, you don't. No one gets this. It hasn't been lost. It doesn't need to be found. It doesn't need to be gotten. It doesn't need to be grasped. Rick Willie, you didn't always have this understanding, yes? So it seems like a radio station that one has to tune into by paying attention to the underlying presence of being, tuning out the various aspects of manifested unreality to see clearly the unmanifested. You didn't always have this understanding. This speaking is simply what's arising. It's not. It doesn't come from a place, if there's such a place, of understanding. It's not. There's no understanding. There's not, because understanding also, again, implies knowing. This speaking is unknowing. It's unknowing. This is the speaking is unknowing. This is not known by anyone. This is not understood by anyone. It's merely the words, again, recognized or seen by no one. When it's seen by no one. It's not an understanding that grows over time, like a teaching or learning or and acquiring knowledge, and then you have this understanding and you speak, and then there's a speaking out of it. It's not that. That is illusory. This simply is a speaking from unknowing. What is unknowable. This is not a subject. This is, like a lot of times, non-duality is seen as a topic or a subject or something, again, in the dream. It's a non-duality teaching or non-duality talk, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the words. But from the individual's perspective, it becomes, once again, a something. What could be said that John is living in a non-dual reality, or that a non-duality is a reality that can be attained or achieved. That's the dream. There's no such thing as a non-dual reality, or non-dual experience, or non-dual state. That's just the dream of separation, and the me strives for states, experiences, and realities. Simply is what is, in its purity, in its innocence, and its simplicity, and in its ordinariness. So, Rick, there's nothing to. It's not something that to dial in to, like a radio station, trying to dial into to it. It's just what is. It's just what is. It's beingness, like you said, the underlying presence of beingness. It's just beingness. It's just beingness. Beingness, being a chair, a tree, So also, nothing has to be tuned out. Nothing has to be tuned out, like in meditation or in certain teachings. It's said that, you tune out all sounds, tune out all thoughts, and be still. Stillness is not something to achieve. Stillness is not something done. Stillness is. Silence is. Silence is inclusive of thoughts. Silence is inclusive of noise, so to speak. So this doesn't require anything to be tuned out to. This is all inclusive. It's silence appearing as noise, or as a sound, or as speaking. It's stillness appearing as chaos, as busyness, as going to and fro. It's the whole enchilada. It's the whole enchilada, and not. Somebody asked, what is the seeing? The seeing is not something. It's a word. It's a word. Due to the need of using words, and due to the difficulty of describing a non-event, describing something that's not happening to anyone, something that's totally ungraspable. It's seeing is basically just a word, or we can say recognition. It's because the seeing is not happening It's not happening to anyone. It's not happening to anyone. No one is doing it. Seeing of this, it's just what is. It's just what is. And it's seen by no one. There's no one there. It's to see this. There's absolutely no one there. It's an absolute non-event. It's it's an absolute non-event. Can anyone hear me well enough? Just checking. Just thumbs up or right? Am I there? Oh, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, so sorry about that. Here's okay, great. Thanks, Norman. Awesome. Rick Woolley once said, right, but at some point of your life, the veil lifted, right? Oh, there never was a veil to be lifted. There never ever was a veil to be lifted because nothing happened. Nothing's happening. This as it is simply what always and already is. There's a story. I can tell a story, but once a story is told of how, the seeming progression, it gives an idea of, it can give this idea that things happened according to a certain pattern or progression, that led to this, led to a time, apparent time, and that the veil lifted or the me dropped. That's what it can give. That there's a progression, or there's something that led to this, and nothing led to this. Nothing. This as it is. This is what is, and it's what always has been. It's so obvious. It's so obvious that no one sees it. No one sees it. No one sees it. It's seen by no one. So in the story, in the story of John, there was this intense seeking, and for no apparent reason whatsoever, nothing that I did, the seeking just fell away. It was seen that it was never real to begin with. The me was never real to begin with. But there was nothing prior to that, leading up to that point. There's nothing that gave birth to it, to this. There's nothing that gives birth or gives rise to this. It simply is. It's just a seeing that nothing is happening. It's just simply seeing that nothing is happening. That's it. It's seen by no one, It's seen by no one. It's recognized by no one. All right. Is there any more questions? I think we're coming. The time on my side is 8 minutes to the hour. So this time for a few more questions, if there is. If there is any, or comment. If anybody wants to join me on the screen for one last hurrah.
Hey, John.
Hey, Emerson.
How's it going? Pretty epic.
Thank you for joining me, buddy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here, and expressing this, talking about nothing for 2 hours.
Great telling you.
Yeah. And despite the technical difficulties, I think the message is pretty clear. So I appreciate that, and thank
You're
you,
welcome.
everyone. There's a whole bunch of people thanking you. This has been
Yes,
epic.
I see that. I see that. Thank you, everyone. Norman, thank you. Yeah, whoever's, I don't want to say names and I miss anyone out there. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for nothing, John.
Yeah, thanks for nothing. Thanks for absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. Oh man, this has been fun. I really enjoyed this, and we'll see you soon again. And thank you, everyone.
Sure. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Emerson.